Hello, everybody. Welcome to AZ Security. My name is Dylan Paardenkoper. I'm working as a cloud architect at IT Impressive. And today we're going to talk about the AI Gateway. I have a special guest today. It's Alex Vieira of Microsoft. And Alex, can you introduce yourself, please, first?
Yes, pleasure to be here. My name is Alex Vieira. I'm a global black belt at Microsoft. As a global black belt, we work in between engineering and customers. We have this fancy name, but in reality, we take what engineering is doing, their new services, and we put those services in the hands of our customers um, in the early bits, generally in like private previews, public previews, so that we can take precious feedback from customers back into engineering and close the feedback loop so that the products could iterate faster and improve over time. I'm focused on everything related with AI and the intersection between AI integration and building apps and agents. That's why I've been focusing on this topic of the AI gateway because it's right in the middle between AI and integration services. And happy to be here and sharing some of what I know.
Great to have you here, first of all. I'm very pleased. And how long do you work for Microsoft already?
Oh, yeah. When you look back, it is already 9 years. I joined as a cloud solution architect. I wanted to work with Azure in the cloud. So initially, I was doing the infrastructure part with storage, networking, and understanding all those concepts was quite fun. And then I had the opportunity to focus on the app innovation part and did a rotation into engineering. And in fact, I was part of the API management team for a while. And then appeared this opportunity to be a global black belt, and I'm enjoying very much the role.
Cool. It sounds like an amazing journey, what you have talked about. And for today, we're talking about the AI Gateway. Can
Yeah.
you mention for for the people that just joined in, what's the API Gateway?
Yes, absolutely. So it's a term that is starting to grow in the industry as a specific kind of gateway that, as the name implies, handles AI related things. Initially, it was all about serving models, serving generative AI models, because as most of you should know or know by at this point, the models are being served through APIs. There is a saying that there is no AI without APIs. In fact, ChatGPT or before ChatGPT, OpenAI, the first product that OpenAI released, they call it the API because they believe that the way that enterprises customers will consume the services will be through an API. And much before that, Microsoft and other vendors they were serving cognitive services and AI services in general through APIs for quite a while already. So the AI Gateway is addressing that space, serving AI services in general. What we have been seeing more recently is to expand that concept to another other things that agents will consume, mainly access to knowledge, to vector stores where that data and knowledge is stored, and also tools where the model context protocol became quite popular at the moment is getting more and more popular. In fact, for the security space, it's a very important consideration because in the same way that the agents get a lot of power by being autonomous and calling the MCP tools, Of
Agree.
course, within the enterprise, we need to be very careful about that behavior.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the features are cool, but you still have to focus on the security, right?
Absolutely. So, in general, when we have the intelligent apps and agents, that in the left, I put here some use cases, but of course, we have tons of additional use cases that AI unlocks in the enterprise. And then in the right, we have this the large language models, the different vector stores, the MCP servers, and other tools. So a lot of communication points. And what we have seen is that we have point to point communication in all these things. And within the enterprise, I try to track some of the challenge that I see, right? That sometimes they are considered unsafe. They are for the user that is using these services. They are not totally reliable. Okay, they depend on certain endpoints that are don't have resilience or are not allowed to scale. They might be unpredictable. Okay, sometimes we
Hmm.
talk about these hallucinations in the large language models. I think it's a good example. And overall,
Exactly.
yeah, and overall uncontrolled that could lead to a dimension of the cost that we are not controlling costs and understanding what we are using. So that's where the AI gateway comes in, right? In this middle, as like as a way in order to mediate what the agents and the AI services are doing. And the Azure API management is a service within Azure with already 10 years of existence. It's processing trillions of API calls per month. And for a lot of mission critical scenarios with where security is paramount. And the same service, this same maturity is now being leveraged for the AI gateway scenarios. Okay, let me search here for the AI gateway, where we call this AI gateway capabilities of Azure API management. So it's the same service, the same SKU, the same functionalities that we had, but the team added additional capabilities to manage the LLM APIs, also MCP servers, and other functionalities. And that has been here for more than 1 year already. We have been adding policies and new functionalities over time. I was lucky to witness this from the beginning, and I've been onboarding a lot of different customers as well into this new exciting world. Um, and if I could do a very quick demo, I will say that most of the customers they start here. They go to Azure, they go to AI Foundry. That's the place in Azure where it's easier to deploy large language models.
Hmm.
And we have some other self-hosting options, but if you want to use the models as managed directly by Microsoft, you'll just go here and you deploy the models. And then, of course, you want to consume these models to enable the apps and agents that I was describing. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we put the API management in the middle, it's straightforward. We go here and to an existing API management service, and
Hmm.
we added these options here where we select AI Foundry. I can see here that I have a bunch of Foundry resources already deployed. I can select any of them. I can even see the models that are already deployed. I will configure the the API. Basically, it's the inference API that I will provide. I can give additional descriptions, and I will specify if it's compatible with the Azure OpenAI or with the Azure AI or other ways of client compatibility. Then
Can
I
I
can,
also can I
yes,
also
of course.
use other OpenAI services, or is it only Microsoft bonded in your last tab?
Yeah, so here in this configuration, this is focused on Azure OpenAI specifically, this
Okay,
configuration.
right,
Uh, but then we have another wizard, another experience that is generic, where we can use this for third parties, large language models,
right.
including things like Gemini, AWS Bedrock to use Claude and other models provided by Bedrock, or consuming OpenAI directly, not through Azure. So yeah, we provide a lot of flexibility in that regard. We would like to see the AI gateway as universal kind of gateway where
Right.
and every model decides where it's hosted is welcome here. And in fact, I think that's a good question because we are seeing this pattern more and more. Customers like to have choice and they like to have different options. And does it make sense for them to have multiple gateways for the different providers? They will have to have a single gateway approach where they can serve all the models.
You're right. Yeah.
So here we have these policies that are very easy to configure in order, for example, to manage and to limit the token consumption, or to track token usage, where we send token usage automatically to Azure Monitor or Application Insights. Then we can apply also semantic caching. That's where we can use a cache like Redis to store the embeddings, and then in new prompts with the same semantic meaning, the response will be sent right away, reducing the token consumption, improving the latency and the user experience. So that's a very popular choice as well, enabling here the semantic caching. And that's the beauty of this mechanism, is very easy to configure. In the end, uh, we'll have the API deployed. I didn't finish the process because I did this before. And
Okay.
I have the API and I can configure it here with additional options. I can even go and test the API from this this console directly.
And what are some best practices what you're seeing now using this product for over a year, as you mentioned? What are the things that you say like, well, I should definitely enable this specific option looking to the API, or just enable everything, or
That's a very good question. So when we go to these models here, and most of the situations, then the models they are being consumed with an API key. In general, the SDKs they ask for an API key, and uh, as it is here, it's only an API key that is used for all these different models for the service, right? And when we use API management, we can leverage the subscription concept of API management, so that then the API key is handled by the API management, and to serve the same models, we can segregate by multiple subscriptions, by multiple API keys, and
Mhm.
then enforce uh, different rate limits, different conditions to consume these models depending who is consuming. So the subscription basically is a mechanism that allows to identify the consumer and then apply policies on top of that. Okay.
Okay.
As an example, we have been applying this in one use case is to enforce limits in terms of token consumption and understanding how um, how the token consumption is working. And in the labs that we'll show in a minute, we have built a lab that we call the FinOps framework for AI,
Okay.
where we basically have this kind of architecture. We have different apps, different agents. According their subscription, they are mapped to a product concept that is somehow like the service level associated to the subscription that you have. and um, and of course, according to your to this service level, you might have a bigger budget, and then you are consuming the different models. So we track everything into Azure Monitor, and then with an alert rule, if the quota is exceeded, we can take remediation actions, like for example, suspending the subscription to stop overspending. Okay, this might make sense for some use cases. In others, we don't want to suspend the subscription because, of course, then the application will not be allowed to consume the models. We might just send a notification like an email alerting for that scenario. And here we then can see for the different subscriptions. I just named them one, two, and three, but of course they can have meaningful names.
Of
We
course.
can see how much is the cost quota. For example, this one is 15 because they are in the platinum, and then how much they are consuming. Okay, so low numbers because this is just a testing scenario, but we can adjust this to a real use case and then controlled in this way. We can then see also, the token usage by the different subscriptions, token usage over time, and a lot of other options that Azure Monitor in general enables. And of course, if we cross this with the specific security solutions that we have across Azure, you can also understand that this could enable a lot of use cases in terms of security and remediation actions, so that enterprises have good control about the AI usage overall.
One question just popping up. I had a customer that was asking me, is it possible to see the token usage divided over persons in Azure?
Token usage divided per person?
Per person, yes. Is that
Yeah,
already available?
yeah,
Or
it is. It is, and in fact, it's a good question. Let me go here to show the these labs, okay? Because I show that you can use and consume the models using the key, okay? The labs basically they build the infrastructure for you so that it's very easy for you to test this.
Mhm.
Uh, and this lab it tests not just using the subscription key, but using a auth token that, as we know, in terms of security, is a much better security construct where we
Mhm.
can use to do authorization.
Right.
And then API management as a nice thing as a policy where you can validate the JOT W token, the JavaScript web token that is
Mhm.
sent by the client that is consuming the, in this case, the API with the inference API. And then the beauty of this mechanism is that we can extract the user ID, the user that is consuming the model, and then we can uh, emit that as a dimension in application insights so that we can have metrics like how much tokens a specific user uh, consumed. So here we get the access token. Uh, we debug the token. We see the token information, and then we just send the token as an authorization header. It gets confused when we use this in AI because the models they generate tokens and then we have a security token. So it's overused the term token here, but I'm talking about the access token, right? So we get the access token. In this case, I'm using Azure ID, and then I'm sending the access token. And this is
Okay.
totally compatible with the SDKs like the OpenAI SDK where I'm, as you can see here, I'm putting the extra headers and I'm sending this access token, and then it just works, right? From the APM perspective, if we can go here quickly, we can see that in the API that I've configured, I will have this validate Azure AD token, and within here, in this case, I'm not doing this, but within here, I can extract the user ID and send as a metric.
Okay, that's nice to know.
And yeah, and the overall, that's the kind of things that we can do with this with the iGateway. Over the recent months, we have been collecting different use cases and building labs that are like samples to enable everyone to explore this like with a one-click approach. Because the labs, they use Jupyter notebooks. You open the Jupyter
Oh,
notebook. After configuring, you just do run all the steps are running in sequence, and then you delete the resources that were created, and that's it. So very easy for you to experiment all the different use cases that the iGateway provides. And in these labs, we can see here labs related to MCP and to do client authorizations with MCP, very popular at the moment. Labs for agents using the OpenAI framework, the AI agent service from Foundry, things like function calling, and a lot of other things that I'm sure everyone with interest in this subject will find it fun. This last comment about the token rate limit, that is very, very popular, because you might want to not just to have usage information like you described, token usage information per user, but you might want to go further and limit, okay, saying that a specific user, it's only allowed to consume X number of tokens per minute or hour or day, whatever we want, right? And we do this token rate limiting automatically, so that in terms of security, controlling, we handle exactly, we remain in control how the AI usage is happening.
how does that work in the background? I mean, is that a specific limit that the user crosses and then he's going to be throttled, or how
Yeah,
does what's the magic behind the curtain?
in fact, we I have this open here. So if you see here, this chart is nice for us to understand how this token consumption works, right? The
Hmm.
tokens are being accumulated over time for the different requests,
Okay.
and then I defined a low threshold, like 500 tokens. It's really low, but of course we want to provoke the error. And then this exceeded the threshold, and the following request we start to receive a 429. Okay, that the 429 will say that the rate limit was exceeded and that the client could retry in a few seconds or minutes, whatever is configured.
Hmm.
And that's basically the mechanism. In terms of the way that we have configured this, it's pretty straightforward, right? We just say what is the counter key. The subscription keys is quite common because of the best practice that I described, to use the subscription as a way to identify who is consuming the models. And
Hmm.
then I just specify how much tokens per minute do I allow. I can
Ah,
have token quotas here, not just the tokens per minute, but in total, how many tokens do I allow in a week or in a day or in a month.
and just out of curiosity, do you have some numbers for people that are just new to this topic? Is that the 500 we are seeing here, or what's the average what you're seeing out of the field?
In terms of the of this token per minute,
Yeah.
yeah, it varies a little bit according to the use case and the model. What I generally advise is that you first don't set the limit, you set the monitoring, right?
I'm monitoring.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like we were doing here. And then you will understand what is the average consumption in a certain use case or for different teams, and then you set the limits according to according to what makes sense in that particular scenario. I see according to the model, to the use cases, a lot of variances in that regard.
I can imagine. That's an open question, right? What I thought
Yeah.
I asked.
Yes.
Okay. Just looking to those dashboards, but which are flitzing by. This is part of the labs, I think.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah.
get, right? If you deploy the
Yeah.
labs.
Yes. Absolutely. You just need to click on the run all, and everything will be deployed, including this dashboard. Uh, you will just need to explore, and of course, if it's useful, customize this information. We provide additional workbooks, like for example this cost analysis, that goes into detail and allows you then to edit and going into these different custom queries, and allow you to change whatever you want, and add additional metrics and customizations for your specific scenario.
Cool. Just looking from the security side of view, if I have my API gateway running on my API management, on the other side, my APIs in OpenAI, can I just cross them via private endpoints to make it more secure from the API perspective?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question as well. There are two things really important here in terms of security. One is that between the, let me go and show, for example, here with this diagram, between the AI gateway and when we have here in this part the Azure AI Foundry or Azure OpenAI, we generally use a managed identity. Okay? So there are no keys being used here. Is a managed identity within Azure,
Hmm.
and then we do role-based access control, saying that this resource trust this API management resource. Okay, and that's why then it's allowed to call the models.
Exactly.
And in terms of networking, they we can use within Azure API management. We can use VNet injection or VNet integration with the different possibilities that API management provides, and then from the Azure AI Foundry or Azure OpenAI, use a private endpoint as you were just describing. In fact,
Right.
there is a lab here. Okay, let me check where it is. Yeah, we didn't put in the README page, so it's kind of hidden. We need to fix that. Is this private connectivity lab? Okay, that was an awesome community contribution. We are exposing the model, in this case in the internet. It might not be an option with front door. Then we have a private endpoint going into the API management, and this is the part that you ask for. Between API management and then Azure OpenAI, we have a private endpoint so that every communication uses internal IPs, internal communication. There is no public communication in this flow. Okay, so something that is ready as well, to try and to use full private connectivity with API management.
Cool. Yeah, I think this is very interesting, worthwhile, boosting your security even more, protecting your APIs basically,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
complete way. Cool. Thanks. And
Pleasure.
if I'm just new to this topic and I just want to getting started, do we have some advice there?
Yeah, we in this repo we try to make things in the same way, easy to get started and with a lot of advanced capabilities. So to get started, we also built this AI Gateway workshop. Okay, that follows the process. If you don't want to use a Jupyter notebook, if you want to go to Azure portal, okay, it's very easy to start here. And we, for example, to set token rate limits, we can follow these tutorials that then they show videos to explain the concepts, so on, and then the step-by-step configuration. within the Azure portal so that you can use these concepts in with confidence. Then after you apply and you understand this, you can expand to more tutorials like using Bicep and additional things like model context protocol, so that you continue your learning journey in this field. It's a fast evolving field, so I see like every new week uh, new things being added here. But that's the thing with AI. It's We need to
It's
buckle
fast.
up for
It's
for
going
this
fast.
fast pace. Yes. So it's at the same time fun, but once you go in vacations for a week, you need a few days to catch up on everything that happened.
I can imagine, especially in your field where all things going very fast in hyperdrive, I would almost say. But yeah, thank you very much also for answering my questions. A good clearance is you have shown in the demo and also in the slide shown to us. So yeah, I want to thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Also for the great demonstration, and hopefully I can invite you back one day.
Cool.
But for now, for everybody who's listening, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully, this is helpful. Please leave a message on the comments below. And for now, I would say take care and till next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.